Okay, so our presentation today is part two of a larger pedagogical research program that myself and Dr. Wolf have been participating. Last year, we showcased part one where we kind of gave an anecdotal experiential description as to what it was like including and incorporating the iPad in our classroom. And this part two will be focusing on how we have continued this body of research, but specifically giving you some preliminary data as to how it impacted student learning outcomes. So one of the things that we'll be doing today is looking at the iPad, particularly how we use the iPad to teach our neuroscience chapter in general psychology. So to give you a bit of a background and context of our institution, Plus Community Colleges situated in the Bronx or in the Grand Concourse area, we have about 6,500 students. In terms of racial breakdown, about 57% are Hispanic, 22% are Black. The gender distribution is almost 2/3 in favor of females, and that seems to be a growing trend. In terms of age, majority of our student population is between the ages of 18 and 29 years old, and in terms of the academic majors that our students declare, the majority of them are liberal arts or nursing students. 58% are full-time, 42% part-time, 61% are continuing students. And of the continuing students, 26% of them need remedial math, about 15% need remedial English, and 76% of our freshmen need remedial math, and 50% need remedial English. So you can look at this in a very gloomy way, and I know it's very fitting for the weather that we have outside. But I think we can look at this data differently. We can see it as an opportunity as opposed to some grand sweeping social pathology of our students that are in the Bronx. And so this is an opportunity because most of our students come to us because they want to get into the workforce. They want to pursue careers in which they can hit the ground running. And so it's our job to prepare them with that. However, based on the context that I highlighted, that our students have many deficiencies, and so what we have to do within a 2 or 3 year period, as one of my colleagues would always say, it's God's work, right? Now, not to be blasphemous, we don't want to say it's God's work. We believe that it's many of the things that we're trying to do is break in barriers. And so some of the things that we are challenged with and we have to coach our students up with is how is it that we can appeal to different student learning styles? How do we demonstrate the benefits of technology use in the classroom? Because it's good to showcase this, but one of the metrics that we have to show in order to actually have these technology institutionalized is to show a clear connection to student learning outcomes. How is it that we can make our classes more interactive? And we want to look at how is it we can help increase student motivation and increase in the content. And so many of what we have to do is a balancing act. We have to weigh the challenges with the opportunities. The challenges are, how is it that we can present complex material to our students? How is it that we can greater involve our students? With the opportunities on the other hand, and one of the things that myself and Dr. will strongly believe is that the opportunities obviously outweigh the challenges. We have to appeal to different learning styles. We have to demonstrate the benefits of technology in the classroom. We have to make classes more interactive. We have to increase their motivation. And so this is what led us to the iPad initiative.
At our college, Hostess Community College, the iPad initiative was began in fall of 2012. Our educational technology department wanted to investigate, can we use the iPad in the classroom, and how does it impact student learning, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using it. Professor Seixas and myself were in the spring 13 cohort of iPad faculty users, and during that cohort we just played with them in the classroom. We found apps that worked with our psychology classes, and we decided, and we participated in an iPads in the Classroom initiative, which is bringing iPads out of, well, keeping them in our hands, but also giving them to the students. And so our educational technology department bought some iPads and created these carts we now call iPows, iPads on wheels. And we can now bring them into the classroom, and we can hand them off to students and use them in our classes. So what we're going to show you is one presentation that we developed to teach about the brain in psychology classes, in general psychology class. And it would be better if we had, all of you had iPads right now, but it's a nice thing because I can control what the students see, and I can move them along at my pace. And also I can take them out of the presentation and use apps too, and then bring them back into the measures. So hopefully, we can switch to the iPad. And our iPads on wheels are set up so they're automatically connected to the Wi-Fi. So we don't have to log in like you do when you get laptops at our college. So it's a much faster experience. Usually, the longer we find the right port to hook up to it.
I think this is quite a use. This is kind of a lesson because one of the issues is these connection issues as well.
I don't think I read it.
I'm not familiar with PCCs, but I know.
I'm just trying to switch. I hope not. What I will briefly show you is two things. So I'll just walk you through it right now so we can look at it. Maybe. One is a software called Nearpod, Nearpod. It is a presentation software where you can import PowerPoints into it, and you can also create many new things in your PowerPoint presentation. You can make quizzes, and so you can, we did a pre and post test quiz, which I'll show you. You can bring in websites, you can poll your students, you can do all kinds of things. Yay. And so Nearpod is the software that you can use to create your presentation. And then we also use an app called the 3D Brain to take our students to during the presentation and to enhance their kind of hopefully motivation and interest in the topic of studying the brain and psychology. Okay, oh, it's not gonna, oh, I see. Okay, so we're still having issues with the iPad. So Nearpod, you bring your PowerPoint presentation into it. I used the PowerPoint presentation that the textbook gave us, and then I inserted a pre-test quiz and a post-test quiz of just 6 questions about the brain. So the pre-test quiz was done to see if the students read and knew anything when they came to class, like your students, Tony. Yes, in the other presentation. And then the post-test is to see if they remembered anything that we talked about during the lecture and during the presentation of the 3D Brain app. There we go. Yay. Or not. Yay. No. Okay. Here we go. Very good. Okay. So this is going to be a 2-person operation here. Here we go. So
You see, the technology is not there yet. We have a mobile device. When it connects to this, it becomes useless. It's not a mobile device anymore.
oh, there we go.
But, wireless connectivity will come soon and will make it really mobile.
We're actually testing that right now. We go with that.
Okay. What I do, so here are my presentations, and I just created a new one, which I'm not ready to show yet. But this is the module on the brain, and you bring up the presentation, and you have students log in. so that I can tell who's in the course and who's not. So here's a button that says live session. So I click on it and it brings up a code that my students can use to sign in. And that way I know that everybody in the room has signed in. And then if they haven't, I can count and say, well, who hasn't signed in yet, and try to get everybody involved. And so I can do it on a live session. We can do a live session, and that means the students will see what's on my iPad. And then when I go to the next slide, the student will see the next slide. So I control what the students see, and I really like that because I'm a control freak. That's all psychologists are. So I like that. So there's the pen, so they log in. I can share it, and that means everyone can see it and log in. And I can email it to people too, which we're not going to do. So let's close it. Sorry, I keep hitting the same thing. Let's close that, and then we can bring up part of the presentation. Let's just go and just wait until it's all again. See, technology's gone. That was kind of it's a long thing. I made this available to the students, and it won't unfortunately show you the actual quiz that I made when we're in this mode, but I created 5 questions about the brain, and I had the students take the quiz. And then it shows me over here how many students get it right and how many students get it wrong. And then there's a list too of what each student said on each question. And even though it's public, the students want to see it. The students are like, scroll down so I can see my name, see which ones I got right, which ones I got wrong. So they're very interested in doing that. And after we did the quiz, I took them to I showed them a web page about the brain, and then I went out of the brain and we did the 3D brain app, so that we could not just use the AirPods, but also use the app and show them around the brain. And the app is really cool. So what I'm going to do now is actually do the brain. Yep. And so this is the 3D brain website. We're not going to upgrade it. And it's neat because you can play with it. And this is what I show my students. So you can move it around, and you can see the different parts of the brain. You can also bring up structures. If you want to look at a particular structure, it will show you where it is in the brain. And then it will also allow you to bring up information about it. And so you can get a lot of information. And you can also get labels about and it shows you exactly where it is. And so you can talk about this one particular area of the brain. You can show them where it is. I can then bring up info about exactly what it does, and I can go to another structure. So I picked 5 or 6 structures to go to show them where it is in the brain and what it does and talk about. And then we went back into the lecture, and then we did the post-test. And then we saw a good improvement, and we'll show you that. So anyway, it's really helpful and actually does work well in the classroom. I'm not sure what's going on today. These are showing the results about what we found when we looked at the pre and post test.
Yes, I know we're not the best salespeople, but I can assure you that when we have done this in our classes, it has run extremely smoothly. So just kind of finish up quickly. In terms of the sticks and carrots of about this particular instruction, where what we found, both myself and Dr. Wolf, that compared to the pre-test and the post-test, that the amount of questions that students got correct doubled, right? Now, many of you, statisticians might kind of question the veracity of these findings, but these are observational findings. But we felt that in many ways that it was very, very helpful in terms of pre and post. And when we actually looked at how this could actually be translated in our larger context of an exam, that when we compare the median scores for exams that dealt with neuroscience, that our students got much higher. As you can see, median score 77. The 86, we actually participated in another kind of an intervention, and that's why we have that bump. But by and large, what we wanted to demonstrate are these preliminary findings that showed that it does affect student learning outcomes, and our students definitely got this bump from this particular activity. In addition to that, we did a qualitative analysis, and students described this activity as very interactive, very visual, hands-on. And so, kind of connecting the quantitative evidence with the qualitative evidence really makes a more compelling story and case for including the iPad in this class to help augment our pedagogy. And so, in the final analysis, we believe that we're not saying that the iPad or tablets are saviors per se. We're not trying to revolutionize how you actually teach. What we're thinking is that the iPad, in many ways, acts as a moderator or a facilitator in increasing student learning outcomes. And so, future directions and limitations. This is just a crude alpha assessment, and it's not a randomized controlled trial. Small sample size, and the low end might not actually lead to greater power. It's cross-sectional as well. And the use of the iPad for other topics does serve as potential opportunities for us to do in the future. And we'd like to use it in some other forms of pedagogical research.
Yeah, and we did coordinate this across two classes that he taught and I taught. So it was general psychology that we taught both of us. So it's that coordination that makes it interesting and a little harder to do to make sure the same spot at the same time. I had fun doing it, and the students had fun doing it. So I think that helps to do very interesting and such a good thing. It worked much better than it has today.
All right.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.